Hey there, AfterBuzzers. You're watching the AfterBuzz TV After Show for The Catch, Season 1, Episode 3, The Trial. Tonight, we're breaking down the episode, and we're going to give you our thoughts and predictions, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh yeah, bringing in a little pizzazz, a little pit bull again. Hey guys, I'm Lauren Salaun, your host for the evening. You can find me all over the internet at Lauren Salaun. And before you go do that, make sure you guys are subscribed to us here on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. You can also find all of our weekly after shows on iTunes and SoundCloud. And tonight I am joined by Jordana Morfin. Jordana, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you? Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Jordana_Morfin. And obviously we're missing JB's today.
It's all right. Girl power, we got this. We got it. All right, so what were your how did you feel about this episode?
Again, it was a little slow, but I did really like the encounter that we had with Alice and Ben. Chris and Ben. And I do like how we're starting to bring in new characters, so we finally see Gordon. So I did like that. I still think the first episode was just so good.
Yeah, right? I agree.
Yeah.
I do feel like this... I didn't lag too much, but I felt like we could have done with a little bit more action.
Agreed.
Definitely. And I think that they're continuing the princess storyline, but I almost didn't know, I don't know if we knew if that would really
keep going
how long we think that's going to go on. So let's kind of break down our big moments. So we've got the princess situation is the main con that's underway with Christopher, Reggie, and Margot. So they're still trying to get close to her because she has tons and tons and tons of money.
Ridiculous.
And Kasim is her bodyguard slash guardian essentially, and has control of the money. And we saw last episode that Christopher is like Michael Thorne now is cozying up to her, and we weren't really sure if it would what direction it would go in because there was some flirtation, but I'm very happy they didn't take it.
Yeah, I'm really glad it didn't go that way, and I really like how she's trying to persuade him to give her a call. I really want to meet her. I want to know who this girl is.
She's trying to help him through his heartbreak over Alice and all that. So I definitely think that was the right way to go with that angle. I was like, please don't have some weird older man.
Yeah.
She's like 16 or something. That would have just been a little odd. So their kind of con this episode is taking control of this fancy development property, and Reggie goes in and plays photographer, like real estate photographer with this, real estate agent, broker, woman who's showing the property. And that scene, I thought, where he seduces her, I thought that was way too easy.
And it was an awful scene.
Cheesy.
It was so cheesy. I did not like it at all.
Yeah.
It was so, the way you were saying it. When he started taking those pictures, and you're a model, and blah, blah, blah. Come on.
And then touches her face, and she totally falls for it.
No.
You're like,
no.
Okay.
I did not like that scene at all.
And then, she pulls down his pants, and she's like, I thought our towers were impressive. Come on, guys.
Taking it too far.
We can do a lot better than this. So yeah, I felt like that scene could have been a little bit better, and they were trying to make it all racy and sexy and stuff. And
it wasn't.
And other Shonda shows, the sex scenes I think are really good.
I think the other sex scenes that we've seen have been a lot better. Not as good, but this was just so cheesy, and I don't know, the setting of it too. It was just so, there was nothing romantic about it at all.
No. Well, yeah, and that wasn't the point. Obviously, I don't think, but it wasn't even that hot necessarily because it was too set up. It was like how you start a porno or something, like that cheesy and that convenient. Oh, am I a model? Here, let me take off my clothes.
Let me just get on the couch already.
Exactly. So I thought that was a little cheesy, but yeah, I mean, ultimately it works, and they end up. So he swipes her key card for the building, and I thought he was taking her jewelry too. I don't know if that ended up happening, because it doesn't seem like that was part of the goal.
I think I just saw the key card.
But now, it seemed a little odd that they then were able to take complete control over this. So she's showing this property, because it's not filled up yet. You know, it's still on the market, sort of thing. So I guess they just scheduled it for a time when they knew nobody would be in there, and made it like, you know, kind of squatted on it for.
Because at first,
when
we were talking about, I thought the same thing, that maybe
was it an office building, or what happened,
or that she got fired or something. But thinking back, I do feel like maybe he just was there at a different time that she wasn't working.
Exactly, it's a vacant building, and they popped in there and had their little squatter party while nobody else was in there, which is really like, gosh, you know,
they're really good with these sneaky.
These plans, they're professional con artists.
They're really good. They're really good. Reggie's really slick. He's getting better and better every time.
He's very slick. And I like Reggie's character because he is smart, too. You know, he's slick with these cons, and he's like, you know, fast-talking, charming, that sort of thing. But he also, with the whole Christopher situation with Alice, you know, he's like, hey, bro, you gotta cool it on this. So he's like, I like that he's kind of playing the voice of reason also, you know, and if things go down between Christopher and Margot, like there's tension, like Reggie's going to be the one that's in between. Right. That. So that will be interesting to see. So Christopher then brings the princess to this meeting for potential investors, and, you know, they're there with Kasim and all this stuff, and we end up seeing this even now bigger con that Kasim has been swindling her.
Yeah, he's been swindling her with the money.
Yeah, so he's been telling the princess, oh, I need more for this, and then pocketing the extra. So, you know, instead of, oh, it's $5 million buy-in for the property, but he says 8, so he can take 3, that sort of thing, which seems so ridiculous. I'm sure he's not getting paid poorly.
Yeah, I found that a little weird too, especially since I feel like they were after him the whole time. You remember their target from the beginning was Kasim and not the princess, right? But I was thinking the exact same thing. Especially you're like the guardian and her bodyguard. I'm pretty sure you're getting paid pretty well, right? So yeah, I found that one a little strange.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess when you're at that, when you're making that much money, you get greedy, I guess. So they end up, and then when they come back for the meeting, you know, to like follow up on their investment and all this, well, and it seemed weird that the princess and Christopher went to this. Like, they're way too buddy-buddy together for me, you know, I find for what their relationship is.
Well, I feel like maybe just because she doesn't have anyone else there. Yeah. Maybe also because this is what I was thinking, because, you know, we're saying, oh, hopefully she doesn't become flirtatious with him. She sees him kind of like her dad figure-ish.
Yeah, because it was, you know, he did have that matching car and stuff. And she can't have really normal friends really either. So she's got this guy that's fun to talk with and hang out with and spend time with, and they're going to the same, you know, he wants to invest in this place too, so they're going like in the same path while she's in LA, so might as well just hang out with him a bit, you know, so it's kind of like her
best friends.
social life. I know, BFFs forever. So they show up again, and Margot acts like she got conned, so that, you know, oh, the person he took our holding money, and now there wasn't even a real company, you know, to begin with, and we're out all this money. Okay, I get that, and that's smooth. One, there would be so much more explanation needed for that, and I don't know, if you're investing that much money in something, do you just like write a check and you're like, all right, cool? Like,
no, I mean, I don't know
what happens when you have that much money.
When you have that much money, who knows? She probably just overflows with money that she kind of doesn't care. Exactly. She spends how much on shoes? $6 million, right? Just on shoes. So I'm assuming writing an $8 million check is a big deal for her.
Yeah, even if it goes totally down the toilet. So later they go out to dinner, and they're going out to dinner, and she, well, no, this isn't when they go out to dinner. She confronts Kasim at the office, or is it? at dinner? I don't remember.
When
But the princess.
So she confronts him. I think they weren't at dinner. They were just sitting in a lounge. So I think maybe like the hotel lounge or something like that.
So she confronts Kasim. And again, I thought it was so weird that she brought
him along.
Christopher.
Yeah.
Like this is a very internal, like, personal business thing for her. You don't bring this random guy with you.
Well, I'm getting a little confused. So is that when Kasim attacks him after? Or
so this was after so he kind of gets fired and they have this like situation, and then after they go out to dinner.
Okay.
And Kasim shows up and attacks him. Yeah, so when they're at the restaurant, Kasim attacks him in the bathroom. Margot ends up killing him. And that I think was
scares
so that was important to see, because we have been talking about how, like, Reggie's been hinting about how Margot's so dangerous, and if she finds out you love Alice, she's going to kill both of you. You better not, talk to her or see her or anything like that. And so yeah, it was important to see Margot kind of,
she doesn't think twice,
do that, but did seem really,
well, also after she kills him and Reggie walks in, she like points the gun directly at the door, Imagine if it was, I don't know, I feel like at that at that moment, she could have killed Reggie too, but obviously she's not. But it just shows you that she's not afraid to kill anyone.
No.
Like, don't step on her toes.
But hopefully she's good at cleaning it all up. Or maybe she just tells Reggie to take care of that. I don't know. But yeah, so I feel like we're definitely going to continue the princess situation.
Yeah, I think so.
Further, because it's becoming a much bigger deal now. And she clearly confides in Christopher, or Michael now. No, what do we call him? Christopher? I just keep calling him Christopher.
His name is Ben, right? Is that his real name?
Oh, gosh, I don't even remember.
I think that's what I wrote. I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah, I remember Margot calling him Ben.
Okay.
So I think that's his real name. But I call him Christopher, too.
Yeah, so. Christopher is easier. That's how we met him. So that's kind of our situation with them. And of course, we'll get to the Alice bit of it later. But so now, talking about Alice and her crew, so they're dealing with an MS case, which is with Gordon's sister. So Gordon being Val's almost ex-husband. So they're like going through divorce proceedings and all this stuff. And this is the first time we're seeing Gordon, which is nice. Not who I expected to be cast as Gordon.
Well, when you told me.
Yeah, and so Gordon is played by Alan Ruck, who played Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and who also happens to be married to Mireille Enos, who is Alice, our main character. Yeah. And they've been married since 2008, so that's like a good, almost, that's 8 years, good chunk of time. And fun fact, I'll share with you guys, I passed them in Target at one point.
What were they shopping for?
I don't know, but he helped me with something or said something about what I had, oh, cool, something like that.
How funny.
And I was like, whoa, I had no idea those two were married.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool, though, that he's in this role.
Yeah,
but
it's fun to get to
her best
to
friends.
Do that, right? Yeah, it's interesting. So they come to them because his sister has MS and she's in for a class action lawsuit. And so the place that she was going for this clinical trial, they believe was giving the people, bad drugs, that making it worse. And all these people were hospitalized, all this stuff. And so Alice decides to basically go undercover to get the treatment so they can test it from her blood, which I'm sorry seems a little too risky for me.
I would never do that, especially after hearing all the. I went blind for a week. I couldn't walk and all these things. Really, you're really going to put yourself in that situation? I had a feeling she thought she wasn't going to get.
Yeah,
needle,
because
right?
when she's in the doctor's office and she's like, oh, hold on one sec,
She's like, give me 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, and I think she probably was going to be like, oh, can I have some privacy to kind of think this over, and then snatch whatever was in the IV and take a little sample back with her.
She did it so fast.
And she's like, hold on one second. Then they're just like, oh, you'll be just fine. Choke, how sometimes
already.
It's like, oh, look that way, poke, so that you don't feel the needle. And you see when that went in, she was like, oh shoot, I am not supposed to be actually taking this treatment. And so then after we see her, you know, feeling woozy, like nearly fainting, lightheaded, like can't see straight, all this stuff. And if you're getting like a treatment, like a serious, like experimental treatment that for something you don't even have. You know, that's not a good idea. And so later we end up discovering, so she shows up to the restaurant from a tip from Sophie, and she nearly passes out, and it's like, you know, all that stuff happens, and they discover that the juice that they had afterwards was laced with something that mimics the symptoms of MS, and that was a little confusing initially until obviously they spelled it out for you. But basically, the drug, whatever treatment they were using in the trial, wasn't working, so the doctor wanted to kind of be able to scrap the entire trial, and if he messes up his, you know, the results, if there's something wrong with it, you can start over.
That's just...
that's like...
How many people have gotten hurt, like, you know...
Right, and he was doing it because his wife, I guess, has MS. So he's like, I don't care about any other people. We're gonna...
That's really sad.
Yeah, I'm going for my wife and saving her life. So, whoops. I mean, on the good news, I guess, is that Gordon and his sister have a case against the doctor, because they did obviously find that, find that some sort of malpractice is going on. So yeah. I thought it was interesting with the Gordon situation. So when he leaves, he gives Alice divorce papers that he signed. And we know that Val's been wanting him to do that and been frustrated about the whole thing, but also still loves him. And he tells Alice that he still loves Val also. And he's like, you know, talking about the cheating and the affair. Like, he's like, it felt worse to me to not tell her. Like, that was a bigger betrayal because she's my best friend and I tell her everything, you know?
Was he feeling insecure about himself? I remember him saying something about him being a lot older than she is.
Than Val?
He was saying, like, oh, you know, I feel like this, I think the situation happened because he's like, I feel I'm older than her and maybe she'll, like, end up leaving me or something like that. So I feel like that's why
he did it.
I think it just kind of like ended up becoming that situation. I don't think
it's over.
They can't be over
because
because
they both they both still love each other. The ball's now in Val's court to decide what to do, you know, with those papers.
Yeah, and well, now that he signed them too, I wonder if it's like making her think, well, he actually does want it. Right. Yeah, so maybe it should happen.
No, I bet Alice is going to be like, girlfriend,
we can't.
That's what he said. Sort of thing, you know? But because I think Alice still wants them to be together.
When Gordon was talking to Alice about Christopher, and he was telling her, oh, like, how's Christopher? We should get dinner. I felt so bad for her. Like, it looked like she was about to just burst into tears at that second. But I don't know. When we were looking at those flashbacks, you could tell that they were all really good friends. So it's really sad. I felt really bad for her.
Yeah. I know, me too. Yeah, and they are in that flashback. They were all so buddy and having so much fun, you know. Oh, so it was rough. So let's talk a little bit about the Alice kind of hunting and tracking Christopher. So as we saw from last week, Agent Dow is tapping her phones, and here's her talking about looking for Michael Thorne, and he comes up to her at their office and pretty much tells her, hey, he killed this woman who I knew, and so we are kind of led to believe that this was a relationship or something. I think
so, because he was getting very emotional about it, so I was like, this must be his girl or something.
Yeah, exactly. And the FBI doesn't know the connection to the case, so he's kind of going, you know, incognito and like off the books too with this, just like she is. And he, you know, uses that murder thing like, oh, I don't want you pursuing him on your own because he's dangerous. And
there's something very sketchy about it.
Because I don't totally believe it. It's funny because as we see later, you know, when they're in the restaurant, Christopher sees her and they kind of make eye contact and he calls her and is like, get out of here. It's not safe. And I like that because we know he still loves her. And when he calls her on the phone later, I kind of really liked that moment. And he's like, oh, how are you? And she's like, screw you. You can't ask me how I am. And he says he didn't kill the woman that Dow says he did. And to promise to not keep looking for him.
I wonder what connection.
Well, I bet Margot killed the woman.
Woman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I bet Margot killed the woman, and I believe Christopher.
I believe him too. I don't think he would lie about that to her.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like, what's the point?
What's the point at this point? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think he killed her, and so yeah, that makes things a little suspicious with Dow. You know,
it was a little weird, and well, especially since Christopher tells him, you know, you can't trust him. So obviously there's something else going on around there. Like,
but like coming from him, you're like, oh, well.
I can't trust you either, but I don't know. So I there's something sketchy about Jules or what do you
Dow.
Yeah. So
I almost thought that Margot, because Christopher's having this phone call while she's in the shower. I almost thought we were gonna see her like hear.
I was so scared for him. I was like,
I know,
she's gonna come out and kill him right there.
Yeah, or like you know, we see her in the bathroom and she's not in the shower and she's just like right at the doorway, like ready,
sneaks up,
like, and then she knows. But we didn't see that, so. And I don't think they would do a flashback like that. The flashbacks that we've seen have been all like. Much further back, but yeah, I was a little nervous about that moment. So I mean, I don't know if there's anything. We kind of ran through everything. I know I looked up. We don't have any news or anything exciting.
It was I felt like it was a very slow but fast. Like everything that happened was just okay. This happened, and this happened.
Right,
you know, last week's episode, I felt like a lot more was going on.
Exactly. Yeah. This week was pretty straightforward. Nothing too wild. And well, we didn't mention with Kasim's blood in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
So now
Alice thinks that
Christopher did it, you know, and that further that supports what Dow said about the murder. So
especially since when she leaves the restaurant and she's at the parking lot, she sees them put the body in the car. So yeah, I mean, if I was her, it'd be hard to trust either of them at this point. Like, you saw this happening, and then he's telling you he's a murderer. So yeah, I would probably believe him too, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess, what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I agree. This episode wasn't too wild, pretty straightforward. I mean, it upped the stakes with having a murder happen, but at the same time it didn't
so just okay, at the end, not the end, but when Reggie and Margot and Ben are all together, now he's going to be Kasim. Or now his name is Kasim. Did you?
Oh, I didn't.
That? So now he's getting sent off somewhere else, and he has a new identity, and his identity is Kasim, and that's when Reggie tells Ben, you know, you better be focused with the princess. Exactly. You better not be calling or stalking Alice and all this stuff. Like, don't get the redhead girl in your head. But I found that weird because I didn't really understand it very well. But Reggie. I think that's what his new identity is, because now that he's dead, Kasim's dead, and he's like, oh, Kasim's now somewhere else, in, like some other country, blah, 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 so you're going to use that identity.
Okay, but the princess wouldn't be cool with that.
No.
Yeah, she definitely would not go along with that. So I guess we'll see what that angle is. I mean, this is one of the things. I'm having fun watching this show, but it's one of the things that I feel like everything's a little too convenient so far. So I want to see things get a little more real and a little more complicated. You know?
I agree.
So I guess with that, why don't we hop into some predictions, I guess? Hello? Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay. So, my big ones... I almost feel like Christopher is not going to be able to con the princess out of, you know, like get her money.
You know, I think...
Well, they already did with the whole real estate thing, but if this continues, because I think he's got like a soft spot for her because of talking about all the Alice stuff.
Well, and then I saw like in the next episode, there was the scene where it's all three of them together. So I'm wondering if Alice is gonna like expose him right there.
Yeah.
Or if she's not gonna expose him because I don't know. I have no idea, but I have a feeling she might expose him because he's gonna say like, "Oh, this is Alice," or I have no idea.
Yeah. I can see that happening. I think like big picture wise, I think Alice and Christopher are gonna get back together ultimately. I mean, who knows when that happens.
They have to.
Also, or at least have. Okay, one of the things with Shonda Rhimes shows is that the two people that like are not supposed to be together, but people want to be together, and like, they have this tension forever.
Right.
Thinking about like Scandal and stuff, and like how long it took like Meredith and Derek to get together on whatever Grey's Anatomy. It gets dragged on and on and on. So that I'm sure will happen, but I bet we'll see some sort of like hookup or something.
What if, I don't know when this might happen or if it maybe later on, but what if Alice puts herself in a situation later on with Jules and it's going to be like sketchy and maybe, who knows, maybe Ben will...
He comes to her
rescue.
Okay.
I
see that.
It can happen.
Yeah.
I just want them to get together.
Yeah.
I want to see them together.
And I think Gordon and Val are going to get back together for sure. Probably sooner than anything with Christopher and Alice. What else? I think that Margot is the one who killed
the girl
with Agent Dow's situation.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I want to know, I just want to see more of her too. As much as she kind of scares me, I want to see her role more. I feel like obviously she makes Reggie and Ben do like all the work, but finally we saw like in this episode she was actually doing like more of the con. So I don't know, I guess we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I did find it funny how I don't think we had heard them calling Alice Allie.
No,
at all until this episode. And then it was like, oh yeah, duh, her name's Allie. I was like,
and then or at the end when she's talking to him and he's like, Allie. He's like, don't call me that.
Yeah. This is like just for friends.
Yeah.
And we just started hearing about it. So yeah, I think next week, in the teaser they say, okay, if I tell you everything, are you going to stay away? And we obviously he still really cares about her and wants to keep her safe, and no, she's not going to stay away. We know this. And so it's going to continue that kind of cat and mouse like chasing thing, and I'm sure Margot and Alice are going to come head to head at some point, and Margot will go down. I bet. So there we have it. Our predictions for next week and really for the rest of the season. We made some big predictions tonight. Thanks to y'all in the chat. We had a few people in there. Black Girl Fly, Emmy Wild, and a few people watching live. Guys, if you're watching live, feel free to chat with us in the chat and tweet with us, or tweet to us and with us throughout the week so we can talk about the episode. We love chatting with you guys online. In the meantime, you can find me everywhere on social media at Lauren Salaun, especially on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter.
And you guys can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Jordana_Morfin.
Awesome. See you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.